Are we really free? Be what you wanna be.
Happy Juneteenth. How y'all doing? Happy Juneteenth to everybody out there. Are you really free? Do you feel free this Juneteenth?
Give your freedom up for the nickels and dimes. Give your freedom up for the things that shines. Give my freedom up for the things that's mine. Give my soul up if you touch one.
Freedom Day.
Everything that's free is made by design. Stay
It's crazy, man.
Stay humble and grind. And any
Negative attention, just take it and shine.
I'm not Martin Luther King or Malcolm X with mine. Created my
Juneteenth.
own lane. I ain't even made up my mind. Sitting in the crib listening, I was like Farrakhan. Let us unite, not divide them right there with mine. It's a hard ass grind, but I'm taking.
Juneteenth is a day where, was multiple days. It was actually a phase where people was getting free. People was they was doing away with freedom in America. Juneteenth is really a time, to give you another false sense of freedom. Because Juneteenth really, to me, only commemorates the changing of one system of freedom to a new system of freedom. If the original system of freedom, if that original system of slavery really even was a thing then, because from what I understand, it was indentured servitude, right? It was indentured servitude to the point where, you'll be shackled up and things like that. And they treated you basically how they wanted to treat you. And then you started having the implementation of unions and things like that for colored folks. So it just basically was trading one system of slavery for another, or so it seems. Because the same system of slavery that we're under, that we're currently under, been existing for a long time. A long time. It the system of slavery we under never really stopped. With all the research that I've been doing, I mean, everything that I looked into, my personal accounts and what I've been through, in light of this situation, let me know that there is no real freedom unless you build it. And even then you're still a slave. As long as we're in this fleshly form, being governed over people who have control of our lives and our livelihood, the things we think, the things we consume, physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, then we're not really free. The true freedom is when you transcend to the next level of life. That's how I look at it. You know what I mean? That's true freedom. I'm not telling anybody to go out there and do something to themselves or nothing like that. I would never do that, because that's not how you get there. That'll leave your soul in a place of purgatory. You got to wait for that natural release to the next level of life, right? But anytime you're under a system, you're being controlled and manipulated by people who could literally affect whether you die naturally or not, whether you go the way that you were intended to go. You're under a system that controls whether you even do the things that you're destined to do in this life. You're under a system that only allow a few to pursue the true greatness that God intended for them in this life, that the Creator intended for you in this life. I've been looking at a lot of different interviews and things like that. Interviews given by prominent, very prominent people who I believe are very knowledgeable and very skill-based in this living life thing, in this navigating the rat race that we all in, navigating this a certain level of freedom for themselves, and I respect it, and I commend what they're doing. You know, recently I came out with a few podcasts, and it's like the one I did, Energy and Aliens, powerful podcast. The one I did where it say, is your reality truly a simulation? I know I'm paraphrasing the title of my podcast, but it's my podcast. And then today I recently seen another podcast, a discussion between two brothers, Billy Carson being one, and the other brother name, I'm so sorry I forget his name because it was his podcast that we were watching that Billy Carson was a guest on. I think it's PBD podcast, right? Or PBD channel, right? Much shout out to the brother over there. He's a great show he's given. You know, they had a great conversation about was Jesus an alien? They gave a great conversation about all different topics, ancient mysticism and religions and beliefs, different readings and how people decode the Bible and how you should decipher information and gaining information and giving information. It was a wealth of information to say the least. And you know, I tune in the key points of this discussion because it pertains to me in particular. And it not only pertains to me in particular, it pertains to a lot of you as well. What I'm going through pertains to a lot of you as well. And I'm not going to stop my tirade because, first of all, I deserve justice. My family deserved justice for being handled the way we were handled. You know what I mean? Being done the way we were done. You know, and continue to be done this way. You know, nowadays the slavery isn't done with whips and chains. It's all here. It's spiritual, it's mental. And anytime you enslave a person's mind and their spirit, you inevitably enslave their physical being as well. I didn't know those balloons was gonna happen. That wasn't me. I didn't make the balloons stream across the screen. That wasn't me. I didn't even know that was happening. I got balloons streaming across the screen. Okay. Maybe that was something when I took this picture, when I you know, captured this, maybe that's why it's giving me balloons and everything, saying happy Freedom Day for people. That's funny. I didn't even expect that. But that's hilarious to me. But because I'm not even really looking at the screen, I'm just looking about. You know what I mean? I'm just in my head trying to get this all out. You know, took me right off my game a little bit. Try to focus on what I'm saying. You know, ironically, my song Focus happened to be queued up, so I'm just playing a little bit of it. I've been through the fucking ringer, man. If you ask me, I don't feel like I got the freedom that I deserve for me, my children, my family. I don't believe that we was afforded the freedom that we deserve all my grandmother's life, all my life, all my mother's life, my uncle's life. Because we always been manipulated and handled by the powers that be. I mean, in Philadelphia at least. Because I never lived anywhere else. I never really, you know, I traveled a lot doing truck driving, doing this and doing that. But I always came back to Philly. I always had dreams and aspirations. And I still do. of actually getting away from this city with my family and going to live a better, a more, a plainer life in a place that's not confined by this jail that we call a city. You know, this city is basically a refinery for buffoonery and the things that go on. The way we think, our mentality is dictated by this very environment that we live in. Some of us come out and we have great morals and values, and we could, you know, we find something to stand for, and we stand for what's just in life and things like that. But a lot of us don't. A lot of us, our very way of thinking, our very way of feeling, our very way of living is manipulated by the environment that we're in. You know, that's sad to say because they put a negative stipulation on everything that you do. Even the things that brings you happiness is attached to something negative. I know who my oppressors are, and I'm trying to convey to the masses who their oppressors are. You know, to me, this Juneteenth is about truth. It's about justice. It's about me searching for that truth and justice, not just for me, but for the legacy that I want to leave behind. For my children, my children's children, and my grandparents. Not Alonzo Brown, because he doesn't exist to me. You know, they manipulated that man into doing things against his own grandson. So he don't have a grandson right here no more. I'm not a part of his legacy. He's not a part of my ancestry. Not by blood, not by choice, not by love, or none of that. Because anybody who can be spiritually and mentally manipulated to put their own grandchild in a bad position, you don't deserve to be called a grandfather. You don't get a happy Labor's Day, a happy Father's Day. You don't get a happy Juneteenth from me. Especially when I recollect and I think back, and I know that he was directly my grandmother's handler for a long time until she passed. Ironically, on my daughter's birthday, my grandmother passed. Ironically, on my daughter's birthday, my grandmother passed. And I'm adding up this information, and I'm seeing that these people basically control the property. They control the crime. They control the drugs. They control the influence in the city. They control whether you're going to become popular or not. They can either protect you or they can let harm come to you. They control the power in your house. You know, Pico Energy is run by these people. A lot of our real estate companies are run by these people. I don't want to continue to say these people's name, but if you look on my social media, you know who I'm talking about. If you've been following God Concept Podcast, then you know who I'm talking about. And it's funny because I'm seeking justice from people who are aligned, in alliance, until proven otherwise. Until you give me justice, until I'm granted, um, um, until I'm done right by the people who done me wrong and given justice. You know, until my claims are substantiated in law, either Masonic law or, you know, what is it? The Supreme Court, because this is a big case that I'm talking about. the way they manipulate the lives of my people, my grandmother, direct people, my grandmother, my mother, me, my father, and they use my mother and father against each other. They use my grandfather against me. They use people in my family against me. Took people away from me that would have been instrumental right now in these times of my life. It's a lot to unpack in one podcast. I'm gonna tell you that. It's a lot to think about at one time. But it's spiritual what they doing. It's spiritual and it's very mental what they doing. And it affects your physical. It affects whether you're gonna be sick, whether you have ailments, whether you have diseases, whether you're fat, whether you're in shape, or whether you're in good health. In a lot of ways, it affects who you are, the way you live, your lifestyle. You know, they taking everything from me, like literally everything. Like it's only stuff. You know, it's people that like to say it's only stuff, and you could get more stuff. But anytime you take a person and you turn their community against them, you turn their family against them, you turn friends against them, and you give them the feeling like they can't trust anybody. They walking down the street, they gotta watch their back, this and that. This is how I feel. I don't trust. Like, my level of trust is going out the fucking window because they made it that way. They made it so. They made me feel like I can't trust anybody, you know, or trust would have to be gained with me because I still do trust. I would feel like I trust certain people, but, you know, like I trust my children. Um, I trust in me trying to guide my children the right way. So I trust my children. I trust, you know, I trust my children to be children, you know what I mean? And not really understand or comprehend everything that daddy's going through. But I try to give it to them in small spurts, lightly, very lightly and gently. You know what I mean? When they get older, they'll be able to listen to all the podcasts and watch them all and understand like daddy was going through some shit, you know? But he stood on what he had to stand on because he wanted us to live a better life than he lived. That's what it's all about for me. I don't want them to go through the things I had to go through, which is ironic because technically they are going through the things that I had to go through. I remember being a child, you know, younger than my kids or maybe around the same age as my kids, and my mother going through these things. And my mother being a woman, she you know, she had her ways of making money, you know, and that took her away from me a lot of times, leaving me to be in the house alone, a latchkey kid, things of that nature. Basically having an apartment to myself around 18th and Montgomery. Or nah, 16th and Montgomery, I'm mistaken, excuse me. Living next to a funeral home, where I felt a lot of spiritual energy. Not only felt a lot of spiritual energy, but seen things that couldn't be explained. Going through things that couldn't be explained. Being subject to things that was beyond my comprehension at the time. But I went through them nonetheless. I retained all these memories, and it taught me a lot, you know, about who I am, why I walk this path, why has this life been bestowed upon me that I live, right? You know, I believe that we walk in two realms at one time, right? There's three realms really, right? It's the physical, it's the spiritual, and the mental, right? So you walk in all three of those realms at one time. To a lot of people, the physical is more real to a lot of people, right? And it is real. Don't get me wrong, you know what I mean? Because, You feel joy, you feel pain, you know, but the spiritual realm is the one. The spiritual and the mental realm that you're in. You know what I mean? That spiritual realm can cross over to the physical. And the key to life is to try to make sure that all three realms that we walk in at one time are in tune with each other, are in sync. You know, that's one of the keys of life. That's the key to you having a happy, successful life. Even if your life isn't very much successful, if you're in tune with your mental, your physical, and your spiritual, then no matter what circumstances you in, you can still smile, you can still laugh and have fun and make light of certain situations. You know, I get these intuitions and I get these, I have these thoughts and feelings at times that I can't explain. So I try to listen to them. I try to listen to them. I try to comprehend and process the information that I'm given. Even though this information might not be coming out of a person's mouth, you just might hear a little something. You might just see a little something in that intellectual realm, in that realm of thought. You know, when I was going through a lot of things, I really didn't understand what was going on, but I played along. Now I understand that we do have people here that are in touch with higher beings, we should say. Not higher beings. We could call them that, higher beings. And if you start to get enlightened, they'll take an interest in you. If you start to get a level of comprehension or spiritual clarity, they'll start to test you in many ways. I don't know whether we're going to call it a test or a trial or maybe just provoke your life in different ways. I can say this, that they do things, they'll make things happen, they'll make people turn on you, they'll take everything from you, they'll even do rituals with you in hopes of what? Maybe to get you to go against God's will, to go against the Creator's will, to go against your nature, to see what you're made of. Maybe this test, I can't even say that. I can't even say that maybe these tests are from God. I can't even say that, from the higher Creator, because the gods are the ones that's acting as gods here. You know, the Creator up, you know, that's above this firmament, that's above this level of life. I believe that he get the information. He's gathering information about a lot of what's going on. Because it's like a cosmic show that we're going through. You know, it's like a cosmic show. What I really do believe is that I believe too fucking much. No, to be honest with you, it's like words escape. Words escape what I'm trying to explain right now. Okay, let me put it to you this way. Plain and blunt. The CIA and the mafia are one thing. They're one thing. And all these different organizations work in accordance with one another to meet an agenda. The agenda is that each of us are alien. Each of us are of this earth and not of this earth at the same time. So what they take from you is something spiritual, something mental. We all share a spiritual and mental connection. Us sharing that mental and spiritual connection, some spirits are not the same. Some of us are not the same. some of us are working for different different entities and has different agendas. And I believe the agenda of the ones in power, the descendants of Zeus, the ones who use the Pico energy and who have these property and things like that, and who can, you know, take life or bring life forth in a lot of different ways here on this earth. Um, I want to take the Zeus thing back because maybe they harness that power that Zeus has, you know, by giving people electricity and things like that, but they harness it in a demonic way because they can take life, they can give life, they could do this, they could do that. It's a lot of manipulation going on. You know, at this point, it's like I just want to get my children to a better place. I don't really care about figuring all this shit out. I really don't give a fuck about figuring all this shit out. Today is Juneteenth, so I'm gonna speak freely and speak very candidly. Um, I don't give a fuck about what's been going on and all this shit that's been happening and all that. I don't care about all the rhetoric that's built up. They could bring up lies and slander you in many different type of ways. They can um, build up circumstantial evidence against you to make you to make to make it look like you're a person like a criminal and all this other type of shit. And they do this shit and they, you know, it's done systematically. You know, a lot of us are held as slaves because we know we're slaves and we got to keep doing what we got to do, or they'll just continue to treat us worse. And a lot of us are still slaves because we don't know. We don't know any better. You know, um, we don't know that. You know, we believe Juneteenth. Juneteenth is Juneteenth, and we believe that, you know, our ancestors fought for that freedom and they gained that freedom, and now we're enjoying a level of freedom that we have today. But in fact, there is no freedom. You know, you're not free. You're always being used as a pawn, as a puppet, as another piece to move. You know what I mean? And it's sad because, you know, the powers that be, at least the ones that I'm witnessing here in Philadelphia, they got the power to turn friends against friends, family against family, male against female. They got the power to make you damn near turn against yourself. Not damn near, they do. They have the power to make you turn against you. You know, the power struggle is real. When you're trying to gain power over yourself, you're trying to gain enlightenment to what it is you're supposed to do with your life and your journey in life, but you can't because you have manipulating forces against you. Um, what I can say with certainty is this: that any force, any type of entity that goes against your free will, that goes against what you're supposed to do, your nature, your calling in life, whatever that is a demonic entity. Is a demonic entity who's not doing God's work. Because God, the creator, is very merciful, very giving, very loving. And what we see here on earth is we don't see that. We don't see that Christ-like consciousness. Not saying that Jesus Christ is God or anything. I'm saying that Christ-like consciousness. Christ lives, or that consciousness lives within us. You know, that higher consciousness, that higher thought. You know, we all have it where we can display humanity. You know, display acts of affection and kindness towards each other with no strings attached. Nowadays, it seems like there's always a string attached to somebody being kind to you or being generous or forgiving or merciful. You know what I mean? For that example. But it's like a lot of what we do here is really just you being used as a battery. You being used to power whatever system it is, whatever's going on. Like even our currency system, it's a system of slavery. Back when the barter system existed, you know, we used our talents, we used our goods and services to pay each other. But all they did when they started, introducing dollars and coins and cents and things like that, was giving you something that you could exchange your time and energy for some sort of currency. And once they control the currency, they control what your time and what your effort, what your talent is worth. They put a price on you, basically. Now, when they put a price on you, if you have a calling or you have something that you have to do, a soul calling, they'll put a price between you and actually meeting up with you with what you're supposed to do with your life, right? Your calling in life. They'll put a price between you and that very essence of the thing that you feel like you're supposed to do with your life. They'll make you pay and suffer and struggle just to get to the point where you could do what what the Creator intended you to do. Flex those muscles that the Creator intended you to flex. Some of us don't even get to the point where we even get to see ourselves doing what comes natural to us. Some of us, weren't granted the time of day, the time of life, the type of atmosphere that we needed to even become what we were meant to become in life. You got a lot of people that's losing their life over just negligent shit. You got people just taking their life over the most mundane, stupid shit in the world. You know what I mean? And we take each other's life over the most stupid shit in the world. You know what I mean? Off of jealousy and enviness and, selfishness. And, you know what I mean? I was just telling my kids, we got to really start treating each other better. And that's something that I would want to extend out past just my own household and the ones that I love. We need to, as a people, we need to do like this fist right here and unite and stand together, and stand for something. Because, throughout this whole struggle that I've been going through, throughout this whole ordeal, not one motherfucker came to help. Not the legal system, not the community, not family, not friends, not people that I trusted in the community. In fact, one lady told me, well, you could just kill yourself. I was like, what? Why the fuck would she tell me something like that? Why would she tell me something like that? This lady who's, doing pretty good in her life and everything, she tell you that it's okay to just end it? Was that a message from her, or was that a message through her? Because a lot of times the things that happen to us, the wrongdoings is done to us and through us. So they'll send you a fucked up message through somebody you love or somebody you trust, or they'll have you do something bad to somebody you love or trust, or have somebody you love or trust do something bad to you. Just like on the mafia movies, how they say they'll get your best friend to, do you in and shit like that. It's very real. They might not even have to have a meeting about it. They just They put it in the atmosphere. They use whatever spiritual powers, whatever, intellectual realm, and reach out to them and make them an offer that they can't refuse. And sometimes you the offer. Sometimes getting rid of you makes their life better somehow. And that's what a lot of us deal with. A lot of this is about sacrifice. A lot of us are made to be a sort of sacrificial lamb, if you will. I'm going to say it like this. In the spirit of Juneteenth, you got to be strong enough to break any type of shackles they have on your life. Any mental bondage that you have, any physical bondage that you have, any spiritual bondage that you have. Because far as I can tell, they use it all against us. The religion system is flawed. The law system is flawed. The things that we eat, that we put in our body, the financial system is flawed. The way that we think, the things that we digest on a daily basis is flawed. Even the air that we breathe. So many chemicals in this shit, and I want to talk because I'm sitting up here vaping, but even the air we breathe is flawed, man. You go some places where the air feel different, where the water feel different, where, life is just better. Life just feel better. As soon as you get out of a certain atmosphere, you just feel like a weight lifting off your fucking shoulders. And we should all experience things like that. Not a lot of us get to experience things like that. A lot of us really work to go on these vacations to different places and things like that and enjoy a moment of time in these different places and then come right back to the same rat race that we was running away from, And it's sad, it's a shame because, it's not just this city. And I paint this picture like, I hope I'm not painting a picture like it's just the city. This city is the one where it's just here where I got done unjustly. But there's many people in America that's experiencing the same thing that I'm experiencing, who's going through the same things that I'm going through, who's feeling like this place ain't really all that free that it's cracked up to be. You have to build your own level of freedom here. You have to really work towards that because anytime you working for anybody, anytime you put yourself under any corporation or organization, you're still a slave. If somebody's cutting a check for you, you're still a slave. If you're not cutting your own checks or doing the things that you feel like you want to do in life, then technically you work for somebody, then technically you're an indentured servant, i.e. slave. And it's not a bad thing if you got a partner or whatever and your partner's in charge of cutting the checks, or you work for a company, or you work closely with somebody, and you know what I mean? That's how you want to get at it. I'm not shitting on nobody for that at all, because you gotta do for you. I can't do for you. I can sit up here and talk all I want to and create this podcast and this content, yeah, and I'm trying to do this for me, just like you trying to work for you and get your money however you got to get it. I don't slight nobody or shit on nobody for how they got to get, what they got to get for their family. My thing is, how I was getting money from my family, driving the city bus and shit like that, doing different things with my driver's license and doing different things and finding my happiness and pursuing, the things that I wanted to pursue. My hunting license. I had my hunting. I still do got my hunting. My Pennsylvania Game Commission license, right? Because I'm a game commission basically, so I could go hunting and do all that type of stuff. It's like things that I was building up to doing, I can't even. I wasn't even afforded the freedom to do it because my life was interrupted in a lot of different ways. My life was not put to a halt because I'm still living and I'm still going, but at the same time, my life, the way my life was interrupted. It was put to a halt. For a lot of foul reasons, for a lot of foul fucking reasons. And I see it, I notice it, and I had to go through this to really come to know the things that I know. Even the things that I'm not saying right now are, you know, are very scary at times, are very alarming. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, one of the things that I think about a lot is that if an organization would do this to somebody's life, does that mean there's like something going on to the point where they're trying to take people somewhere, or they're trying to do some things, or what are they, like, what's going on there? Is this something just against me, or is this against my bloodline? Is this against is this for some type of purpose to extract people from the earth to steal you? And I know it's about energy, and I know it's about control, and I know it's about power and things of that nature. I know it's about exploitation, and I got all that, but the underlying, you know, because I understand they'll use a person to meet multiple means, you know, a mean to meet multiple ends. But when you don't get help, it leaves you to believe that they're still building up circumstantial evidence against you. They're still building up a case against you anytime that they're not trying to help you. I've got emails back from the Department of Justice, the chief over there at the Department of Justice. I forget his name, but he's a good guy. As far as I know, I hope he helped me out with this, because I've been mailing out Federal Tort Claim Act letters to any department I can get them to, because they should know what's going on. They should bring who's ever responsible for this to justice. Not only that, the people that was involved with this, those people should be brought to justice as well. Not only that, if there are entities from that are extraterrestrial or alien, I just call them alien, or, you know, they should be brought to justice. You know, if there is a galactic council, if there is a order that supersedes us, if there is a higher race of beings out here that is in communication with something higher, they should be brought to justice by whoever they're sitting under. It's like, I don't, you know, for me, justice meet no bounds. It's endless. If you did something wrong, or you are doing a people wrong, then you should never be allowed to prosper. You should never be allowed to prosper while people suffer under your rule, under your tyranny. It shouldn't be allowed to, you know, you shouldn't be allowed to prosper with making people suffer on a consistent basis. Maybe it's by design that thought elude me right now, that sometimes thought just escape my grasp, because the powers that be might not want me to have a clear, concise thought or notion, you know, to have a good conversation or a good outcome from my podcast, and many times, you know. And at times I make it through. I make it through my podcast. I'm still working on promotions and things like that. I finally figured out how to get my podcast on multiple different platforms. It's on Facebook now, so if you're on Facebook watching, you could go to YouTube and catch up on some of the older episodes of Spotify podcasts and things like that. Or maybe it's because I hear footsteps over top of me. And it throws me off whenever I hear somebody moving around in an environment where I'm trying to record at. But it's okay because it's what I'm dealing with right now. It's what I got to deal with. It's not something where I could be like, hey, could you quiet down? I'm not on that note. I'm not even feeling that notion at all. I just like to be aware of what's going on around me at all times, you know. But, you know, I'm going to do this. Let me see something real quick. Let me see something. There it is, right there. Y'all can call this a commercial. Y'all call this a fucking commercial if you want to. Y'all can say whatever y'all want. I'm gonna take a breather. God damn. Stressful doing this podcast shit. Trying to convey a message, man. Fuck. Man. Shit deep, man. I'm telling you. This shit is deep. Like moving into my truth. Moving into a new space, trying to do things differently, trying to acquire anything. It always comes with a level of determination. It comes with a level of discipline. You know, you got to be disciplined. You got to, you know, discipline yourself to get whatever it is done, mentally, spiritually, physically, because you could just let yourself go, and it's easy to let yourself go. You know what I mean? It's easy to, you know, just, you know, become somebody that just let it all go, you know. In many ways, I let go of a lot of different things that I held in the past that was important to me. Some things just ain't important to me anymore. You know what I mean? I can't help that. You know, it's just certain things that I see that I notice. Certain things that I notice that are key, that are instrumental in keeping us stagnant and that are instrumental in keeping us enslaved. And it's funny because a lot of these things that I know are instrumental, that's instrumental in keeping us enslaved, we got to use those very things to try to amass some type of wealth or get in any type of position, in any type of prominent position where we could, you know, sustain a certain level of or sustain a certain lifestyle for ourselves. You know, that's all we really want is to have a level of security, to have a level of freedom, to have a level of peace of mind, to be able to really stand on our own, you know, to have our own house, to have our own money in our pocket so we could go do things that our families may love to do. Like right now, I don't really like doing too much, but I would like to have some money in my pocket so I could do the things that my children like to do. You know what I mean? Some of the things that my children used to love doing that we don't do anymore, they're like, why don't we do this no more? And it's because, well, daddy's trying to build up, you know, a different type of foundation for his life and for you guys as well. You know what I mean? Daddy's trying to move in different ways so I could, you know, support my family once again the way I used to before my life was interrupted by a lot of things that happened, by a lot of the exploitation that went down. See, we could easily say that that things were just circumstantial. Certain things just happened by circumstance. Some things was just a misfortunate event. We could try to say that, right? But when you witness the things that I witnessed, and when you have the accounts, the personal accounts with certain people that I have, it's not mere circumstance. These people play on a different level. They fuck with you spiritually. They fuck with you mentally. They fuck with you physically. They fuck with people you love in many different ways, in these same different ways. And some people, some of our loved ones can't handle that. You know, some of our loved ones, if we're strong enough to be able to handle that type of shit, we gotta really be strong for them. Even though they may hurt us at times. You know, to be truthful, me being placed in this position, because this is not somewhere where I just said, you know what, I'm gonna start going against these fucking people. I'm gonna start going against the mafia and the CIA and see where that leads me in my life. By golly, I'm gonna go for it. No, that's not how this happened. They went after me. They've been going after me. They've been going after my family. So I just gotta stand up for what's right for me and mine. Point blank, period. That's why I'm on this tangent. That's why I'm on this podcast. This podcast was so I could tell people my spiritual beliefs, my mental belief, what I believe, what my theocracy is in life, in this walk of life, and give you my passion and give you my tears and my fears to lay it all on the line for people. And then I noticed that this podcast was going to be more so of my testimony. And it's my testimony, and it's the things that I've been going through in my life and the things that I noticed. And what I notice is that we don't got too much longer. We don't got too much longer, because these people are bringing about a certain evil. These people are bringing about a certain end of times type situation. Because anytime, and I'm going to tell you why I come to that realization. Anytime people could do you wrong, legal organized crime, where people, street people or whomever, can do you and your family dirty without having any type of remorse or repercussions, you going through the appropriate channels to try to get help, to seek refuge, to seek justice, and you're not afforded that, that told me, A, that these people are cooperating with each other. That told me, B, that these people are not normal human beings who can use